Well, as I undo the knot that is my headphones, my earbuds, Terry Ford in, Tyler Head done for the year in Atlanta, doing Atlanta things. Jack Veltri, Gamecock Central, is here with the extra point. Jack, I'm going to plug in these headphones now so I can hear you.
What are Atlanta things,
you
though?
Get these Apple ones that you don't need wire.
What are Atlanta things, Terry?
Well, first of all, while you're sitting there, right, talking to me,
Yes.
I've got Dave Adair screaming in my ear.
Oh, I can hear him from the other room.
Here's the thing. First of all, Dave is totally into the Apple cult. Dave is in. Forget both legs, both arms, head, torso.
He's got like the iPhone 17 there.
No, Dave's got the iPhone 18.
Oh, they're on 18, my bad.
Matter of fact, Apple makes him a special iPhone because he's such a big member of the cult. So he's sitting there screaming about, get these Apple earbuds, Terry. You won't have to worry about everything is Apple, because I don't have Apple stuff because I just refuse to be part of the cult.
You're old school. I get it.
That's right, man. I'm going to die on the hill because I got to get a new phone. I cracked my phone. Well, how long has it been, Dave, since I cracked my phone? How many months?
That thing looks
It's been months. Months I dropped it. I was coming out of Panera. And of course, you got all these stupid I got the stupid protectors in the case and all that crap. I got the what's it called? The OtterBox.
Yes.
I got everything, right?
You could probably peel that off.
And I dropped it. And when I dropped it, of course, I didn't drop it on the grass or the ground, Jack. I dropped it on the cement outside of Panera.
Well,
and of course, it landed face down.
Well, to be fair, where is there grass and?
Well, there's that one little patch of grass, Jack, right by the car. It's about 6 inches.
Yeah, we're talking about like in the city of Columbia, though, which is basically all cement and concrete.
So the minute I dropped it, I knew, right? So it has to be at least 3-4 months, Dave. I've been with this phone like this. I was doing the halftime show.
Good thing Christmas is coming up, right? Just ask for a replacement for Christmas. I don't know.
I got it. But anyway, so Dave has been bugging me ever since I got this. Get an Apple. Get an iPhone. Get an iPhone. Get an iPhone. I'm like, I'm not getting an iPhone, Dave. I'm not getting an iPhone. I refuse. See, because again, I'm trying to get recruited by the cult. I know what they're doing. I know.
What is wrong with Apple? What are they doing?
I just,
they starving kids in like China or something?
Probably. Look, there's this, again, this is the neighborhood in me. Everybody gets iPhones. Screw you, I'm not getting one. It's just the neighborhood in me. That's all.
You and one army.
Look, I'm alone. I know I am.
That's okay.
I'm alone. All right. Anyway, Tyler's off in Atlanta doing Atlanta things that we can't discuss. By the way, if there is one person on this staff that I have complete confidence will not do anything wrong in his time off that I would have to ever get a phone call about, it's Tyler.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine getting a call? Hey, there's some guy in a wheelchair here in jail. Can you guys pay his bail?
Need bail money. I mean,
oh my God.
He is the guy. We always joke about Dave. When Dave leaves, we don't want to know what Dave does until he comes back the next day. We just don't want to know because we don't want to be like having to go and testify against him. But Tyler's gone. You got zero concern that there's anything you're ever going to get a phone call about Tyler. Ever.
I don't think so.
Ever.
Unless there's some shady stuff that's just going on, but I doubt it. But
I mean, I wish when I think he's 29. I wish at 29 I was that together. My man is solid.
He's got it. He's got it all together.
So he's going to get 2 weeks off. Let him recharge, chill out, have some fun, have a life, and then we'll bring him back and work him to death on January 5th.
Exactly.
So. All right. But you and I are here, pal.
Yeah, man.
That's right. Day. We're here.
Last show before the holidays.
And we are. Look, this year, there's no bowl game. And we're just going to put it in neutral. Best of the game for the next couple weeks. Because, again, people, if you look at how this is, there's actually a method to the madness. I wanted 2 weeks off to go to Cancun. Okay, that's what's going on here. I want to go drink. No, it's just the idea that, you got Christmas on the on Thursday this year. And you have New Year's on Thursday. And our company is giving the following day as a holiday as well. Because, let's be honest. Was it nice of them between you and I? Because they're not listening.
Yeah.
Nobody was coming to work Friday anyway.
No.
So they said, you know what? Let's look good and give everybody a Friday off. So we got the company, Cumulus Media, has Thursday and Friday off.
40 weekend.
Right. So that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? That's 3 days. So I was like, you know what? There's no bowl game, 2-3 day weeks. Screw this thing, man. Let's put some best ofs.
Yes.
Let's
Enjoy the
roll.
holidays.
Everybody enjoy themselves, and January 5th we'll come back again and blather.
There'll be lots to blabber about because we'll still have men's basketball going on, and
Yeah, exactly.
that's all we're gonna say.
That's probably yeah. Well, we have a lot to say when we have because you were with us on the best of, and we
Yeah,
look back.
we had a lot to say.
Yes.
About basketball, baseball, especially football. But yeah, man.
And we'll be firing that up the next 2 weeks, also on our YouTube channel. So you were with myself and Bill Gunner and Preston Thorne, and we yipped it up for a bit.
What a 4-pack there,
Yeah,
man.
I'm telling you, jeez. I always love when Gunner has an opinion and then he goes, "But that's just me. What do you guys think?"
Yeah, he was always saying that when we were recording that.
But that's just me. What do you guys think? All right, so first of all, we'll start with the transfer portal news. Brian Rowe, wide receiver, hits the portal. Now, first of all, we all knew this room wasn't going to stay together because of the era we're in. There was going to be some of these young receivers going. Were you surprised Rowe was the first domino to drop in that receiver room to transfer?
No, and I'll tell you why. You got to go back to the middle of the season. Remember when he got suspended?
Yep.
It was the Oklahoma or the Alabama game. I think it was
Oklahoma.
It was Oklahoma. He got suspended, and because of that, Jaden Sellers stepped up into that role that Rowe had been playing, and took off and never really gave it back. And Rowe didn't really get much of an impact. Make much of an impact the rest of the way. So I'm not surprised. I think it was just a situation where, look, Rowe came in. I thought he was going to be the best freshman receiver on the team. Didn't turn out to be the case. You look at his numbers, it's like he probably should have made more of an impact. 19 catches, 149 yards, 1 touchdown. But again, once he got suspended, Sellers stepped up, took firm grip of that role, and never relinquished it. So I think both sides kind of were probably just ready to move on from each other. And yeah, I mean, the suspension probably didn't help at all in this case.
Yeah, and I thought about that too, and you nailed it on both ends. When Rowe got suspended for whatever all that was for that week, he wasn't the only guy, but he got suspended.
Yeah, there were like 2 or 3 other guys.
And this happens a lot in sports. You know, Lou Gehrig. I'm not comparing this to Lou Gehrig, but still, it's just the idea. Sometimes a guy, whether it's injury, suspension, whatever happens, another guy steps in and balls out and doesn't give the spot back. And so the sad thing with Rowe, though, is you could see the talent, man.
Oh,
he's quick.
He's got
he's
talent.
twitchy. He's going to go somewhere, wherever that somewhere is, and we might be in 2 years going, well, look at the numbers that cat's putting up. Because he's got skills. And I think part of, to your point of, 19 catches for 149 yards, you go, okay. But I think a lot of the guys in this offense, it's tough to judge last year because I think the system of offense was, I'm going to be kind, not the most modern. And I think with the offensive line issues, the passing game in totality suffered. And, I mean, some of the route, I'm a route combination dork. If you watch some of these route combinations, you just shake your head. What are we doing? We're not affecting all 3 levels of the field. We're not flooding zones. We're not running crossers. We're not putting defenders in havoc. So when I look at numbers like Rowe, okay, how much of that was Rowe learning as a freshman? How much was it just the passing offense? Just, again, not to be mean, wasn't very good.
No.
So, but he goes. Do you think that's the last one out of that room?
I don't think so. I still think we're going to get somebody else.
I do too.
My money, again, this is not any insider knowledge, so don't take what I say and run with it. Just take it with a big grain of salt, if you will. I just have a feeling something's going to happen with one of these freshman receivers that didn't play this year,
Can I pick
Maceo
mine?
Bennett.
Can I pick mine? I think Maceo Bennett because he kind of got lost. Lex Cyrus isn't from here.
Yes.
He's a PA guy. He redshirted, obviously didn't get any run. He's got to look at the room and see the crowd in the room, seeing the freshmen that did get to play.
Yeah.
He might be the guy to go, I got no connection like locally here.
Yeah.
I'm an East Coast dude. Maybe I'll transfer to go find a place where I have a better chance to get playing time. He's the one I look at. Again, I got no intel either. I'm just looking at the roster because I think another one's going to go too. And Maceo Bennett, would you blame him? He's going to be a junior.
He was originally committed to Tennessee out of high school. I mean, I don't know what that means. Look, he's a South Carolina guy, so. But I'm just so surprised his role was what it was this year, man. After, I get it, everything's got to be earned, and the practice matters, and all this and that. But Mazio Bennett's a good player, and you barely even used him this season.
He caught over 30 balls his freshman year.
He was an impact guy.
Yeah,
he had like 300 yards.
Yes, he had some big moments, made some big plays. I remember the touchdown in the Kentucky game that kind of helped get that game cooking.
They got the offense finally going.
And I was surprised. If you ask me things, and maybe we'll do this in our little 2 hours together, things that nothing shocks me, but that surprised me was Bennett's diminished role. I thought Mazio Bennett was going to pop in his second season.
I thought so too.
And then all of a sudden, he's not starting. He's not getting a lot of snaps. All of a sudden, he's on a milk carton. I mean, it was like, what is up?
But they have so many receivers in this room, so that's part of it. But it's also like, Mazio's a good player, man. No disrespect to some of these older guys, but, I mean, Jared Brown wasn't doing anything this year. So I mean, both those guys were sitting on the bench. I mean, Nick Harbor's good. Dre Jacobs is good. I get it. It's tough to find a room for all 3-4 guys to play consistently, but Mazio should be playing, man. I don't know. That's one of the biggest question marks I have from this season. Just head scratching.
And the Mazio losing run through the year was interesting. And again, you brought it up. How much of this goes back to practice matters? What was going on in practice? What was Mazio doing, not doing? I don't know, but it was kind of one of those eyebrow raisers, like The Rock. One of those little eyebrow raisers, like, wow, this guy is losing playing time as the season goes along.
Like, he had 10 catches for 62 yards this year. For reference, last year, Terry, 30 catches, like you said, 337 yards, 3 touchdowns. His longest catch of the year was 11 yards.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck happened during practice or this offseason. Something obviously did not go right because Shane Beamer always does things with a purpose, right? Practice matters, as we know. We've said now like 3 or 4 times here. But this is like, I never understood this one.
Well, think about it. Obviously, Harbor's ahead of him. Dre Jacobs is ahead of him. Sellers is ahead of him. So that's 3 right there. They're going to be ahead of him going into spring, right?
Yeah.
And then you have Donovan Murph is going to be ahead. Donovan Murph's ahead of him. Let's just be real.
Oh, yeah.
That puts Mazio Bennett at number 4 in the depth chart. Then you got Malik Clark, who redshirted, and Lex Cyrus.
Jordan Gidron.
And Jordan Gidron. So you got 3 more who redshirted last year. So if you're Mazio Bennett, you look at that room, what do? We'll see. And like I say, maybe a Lex Cyrus. I mean, Gidron's a local kid, too, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
He is. He went to, what high school was it that he went to? It's in my head. It's a really good, the Dragons, I think, is what they're.
Yeah, close enough. Don't worry about it. By the way, this is going to drive you.
Ridgeview.
You knew it was going to drive you crazy.
I needed to get that out there.
You had to.
I can't let that slip.
I know. All right, so Brian Rowe in the transfer portal. We'll see if any other receivers jump into the portal as well in a very crowded, talented wide receiver room. All right, extra point. Jack Veltri, Terry Ford, Tyler, much-deserved time off. We'll come back. There was kind of sort of a basketball game last night for the women. At least I got to be in Florida and hang out. So we'll get to that, and it was a hell of a Thursday night football game. We have that coming up here on the extra point. Jack Veltri, Terry Ford, up until 11 on the game. Extra point. Jack Veltri, Terry Ford hanging in his Tyler is done for the year. See him back on January 5th. So the women last night, Jack Veltri. Okay, that was weird. It's Tyler.
Yeah,
How you doing?
He's doing some shady things behind the scenes.
Bizarre. What the heck was
That guy, who's that?
See, he doesn't want. See, again, we say we have to worry about him. He's sitting in a basement somewhere, hitting some buttons.
He is.
Getting through our firewall.
In his mom's basement, just.
He's being that guy. Anyway, all right. Well, Tyler's here talking about sweet deals. All right, so last night, I mean, okay, it wasn't really a game. 103-44. The women just take apart South Florida. Joyce Edwards went crazy.
I mean, very crazy. 34 points, 41.
Yeah.
14 of 15 shooting.
Think about that for a minute. That's efficiency, Jack.
That's
efficiency.
You're damn right. That's efficiency. Holy cow, man!
She missed more free throws than field goals.
Yeah,
She missed 2 free throws.
6 of 8. Plus minus was, oh my God! Look at all the plus minus numbers in this. Plus minus was 50 in this game.
That's almost like video game.
Like
Crazy.
We're talking about. Oh my God! All 5 starters for South Carolina were above 30 in plus minus. A few of the others were in the 40s. I mean, it's crazy.
It was an insane game. Tessa Johnson went 7 of 9. Ocott went 6 of 7. I mean, here's the interesting part. Okay, now Latson scored 15, but took her 15 shots. She went 7 of 15, which still is just a tick under 50%, which typically you go, okay, that's fine. The rest of the starting 5, you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Missed 6 shots. The Johnsons, Ocott, and Edwards combined missed 6 shots. That is
crazy.
Filthy.
And they did a lot of this without scoring from 3-point range.
No, they only take like 15 threes.
4-15, 26.7%. So you can win by a lot without making 3-pointers, and it's a crazy strategy. I think another team in this town should try it. But yeah, I mean, look, a dominant win. You know, Terry, we talked about this yesterday pre-recording with me, you, Bill, and Preston. What was the line? Like it's great right now, or something like just show me when you get to tell me when you get to the Final Four or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like we expect South Carolina to do this, right?
Right.
It's great that everyone's playing their part. The question I had though about this team was that, all right, they only had 4 players coming off the bench yesterday, so that's 9 players you're playing right now in total. How does that work when you get to games that aren't 103-44? How about when you're playing Texas later this year, or you play UConn again, and it's like the NCAA tournament? I mean, games are going to be tighter. You're going to need those players off the bench to come in. I mean, the player with the most minutes last night was Tanaya Latson, who played 29 minutes yesterday.
Yep.
So in a 40-minute game, are you going to need these starters to play 35, 40 minutes? Are they capable of doing it? We'll find out then, but it's an intriguing question to keep an eye on as the season goes on.
Well, when the games get tight and the games matter more and more, you know how you always look. It's human nature. All coaches tighten their bench and tighten their rotations. You know, starters will play more minutes in general, but to your point, you look at the bench. It's a bunch of youngins, sophomores and freshmen right now because of your injury issues. You got your depth sapped. So, again, you're going to have one of those youngins in the front court and one of those youngins in the back court, at the very least, have to be able to step up to give you minutes in the postseason when it matters. Because if you got to go 7-player rotation, you got to go 7-player rotation with your depth. And look, in the tournament, there's longer TV timeouts and blah, blah, blah. But 2 of these youngins on this bench, Jack, are going to have to be able to go into games that really matter and be able to, at the very least, hold their own.
But the thing about you mentioned with, playing more minutes in the tournament, I mean, you're playing every other night on a given weekend. I mean, you're playing 2 games on the weekend. If you advance, you get the following week off, and then you play the next weekend. I mean, it can get tiring.
The turnaround game. The turnaround game is huge.
Especially as we expect this team to go on a deep run, like into late March. So, I mean, I think they're gonna be built for it. You know, it's only December right now. They're still playing really well. They had the one blemish on their schedule with a loss earlier this year. But overall, man, I mean, this team looks pretty sharp. It's just, again, I think you do have to keep an eye on the fact that, yeah, you're right. Like, they only have 4 players off the bench, and a lot of them are youngins. So I don't think it'll affect them too drastically right now. Once you get to SEC, we'll have a better idea of how this all looks.
Because the SEC is better than it has been in the past. Deeper with good teams. Like 5, I was looking at the analytics yesterday, and, you know, Ken Palm doesn't do the women's analytics, but Bart Torvik does. South Carolina is 3rd in the country in efficiency. But, ready? South Carolina, Texas, LSU, Kentucky, Oklahoma. You have, what, 5 right there, the top 10 in efficiency rankings in the country from the SEC.
And there's other teams in the SEC.
Tennessee's 15.
Yeah, Alabama's probably somewhere in there.
Yeah, Mississippi's 21st. I'm scrolling down here.
I mean, this conference
Vanderbilt's 28th, Bama's 30th.
Yeah. I mean, South Carolina should be able to beat these teams for the most part. Maybe you get into a tricky situation where maybe you lose to at LSU in the full Wiley game and then Texas at some point. But, I mean, this team's going to be fine. I mean, the thing is they could lose a few games during this regular season, go to the conference tournament, handle their business, go to the NCAA tournament. Maybe they're not the top overall seed, but, you know, this team's good enough to go on a run regardless of when and where they have to play. I think they're going to be fine.
Look, they're starting 5. I'll take that 5 against any 5 in America.
I agree. I
mean,
agree.
they're stacked. I mean, with Edwards, Okada has been a double machine. You know, and how much better has Tessa Johnson got? I mean, first couple years, a lot of, you know, spot up threes. Now she's putting the ball on the deck. She scored inside the 3-point line. I mean, Latson is Latson. We know who Latson is. And Raven's crushing it from 3 this year. And she's playmaking. That starting 5 might be the best in America.
I would say so. I think it's very nice to have a starting 5 like this. Like, your bench may not be the best, but you have a starting 5 that can go up against anybody.
Yeah.
And they're going to be playing, you know, hopefully 30, 35 minutes in these bigger games and when it really matters down the stretch. So I think South Carolina's got the advantage, and when they're shooting like this, nobody's beating them.
By the way, Jack, 72% from 2-point range. 70. They missed 15 twos, Jack. They were 40 of 55 inside the arc. And out of those 15 misses, again, it's still a good shooting. And still a good shooting night for Latson with 7 of 15, but she missed 8 of their shots of 15. The rest of the team missed 7 shots inside the arc last night.
They did miss 11, or not 11. They missed 7 free throws.
And they've been a good look. They've been a good free throw shooting team. They've got 3 starters shooting over 80% from the free throw line.
They're going to be fine.
Yeah, and look,
no concern.
And Dawn, it's always because Dawn, you know, is used to playing a certain way. Remember, 2 years ago, she went through the same thing when they won the national championship. Remember, perimeter oriented, a lot of running and gunning, a lot of goofiness, and remember, Dawn was constantly going, I just got to let them be them. And this year, again, this team is very perimeter oriented. It's not throwing a bunch of bigs out, not playing inside out as much. But to your point, they'll be fine.
They're going to
be okay. They're going to be okay.
Yeah.
All right. Extra point. Jack Veltri, Terry Ford. We had ourselves a football game last night in the NFL. We got to get to that next, man. It went from, wow, this is a blowout to, oh, my God, what a game. Thursday Night Football was a thing last night. We'll get into that next here on the Extra Point. Jack Veltri, Terry Ford in for Tyler on the game.
Marner in motion. Darnold throws, caught for the 2 points. Eric Saubert.
And there it was. The end of a crazy game last night. Seattle comes from way behind, beats the Rams 38-37. The Seattle Seahawks, and I told you the stat, in their franchise history, if they were down by 16 or more points going into the fourth quarter, they were 0-155, Jack.
Jeez, dude.
Guess what? Now they're 1-155.
Yeah. Hey, look, I don't know what the winning percentage is on that, but it's probably like 0.1. So you're telling me there's a chance now moving forward.
By the way, the one thing that I'm not tired of, and I laugh now, because we've seen so many kooky things in sports. Whenever you see the analytic percentage of victory during a game, I just start laughing. What was it? The Seahawks had a 1% chance to win this game or something when Darnold throws the second pick, the one inside the Rams red zone.
Yeah.
After he threw a pick six earlier, by the way. And again, you're like, okay, through the red zone interception, Rams go up by 16, it's a wrap. It was done. It was over. And guess what? Then it wasn't. The punt return by Shaheed changed the whole game.
Oh, yeah. Just a really fun game last night. Like, I turned on for the second half after getting back from the gym, and then it's like, oh, the Rams are. It's a pretty close game going into half. Mm-hmm. I mean, at the time, it was only, looking at here, it was 13-7 going into half, and then just the Rams turned it on in the third quarter, and it's like, oh, it's a 2-score game going into the fourth. I think this game's over. I'll just have it on the background or whatever. And then the thing about the Seahawks was they had to get if they were going to tie the game, they had to get a pair of 2-point conversions.
Yep.
They got the first one, and they got the second one after a review. A very heads up type of play. I mean, just a really good game last night. I would say, Terry, Seahawks winning 38-37 over the Rams. I would say this was the game of the year last night.
Yeah, well, what was on the line? What was at stake? I mean, if the Rams win, they've got a real clear path to the number one seed in the NFC, and obviously the NFC West. Seahawks, their path isn't as clear, but now Seattle sits with the best record in the NFC.
They win the last two games. They win the division, and they get the one seed.
And they get the one seed. That opened it up, but their schedule is more difficult than the Rams in the last two. So Seattle did themselves a lot of favors, because if they would have lost last night, it was pretty much they were not going to have any shot at the one seed. And then the Rams had the tiebreaker, really a 2-game lead. That game was vital for Seattle last night. Mm-hmm. Vital. Now, and then the interesting part of the strategy, and Herb Street said it when Seattle got the ball in overtime, because the Rams went and scored a touchdown because Puka Nacua does what Puka Nacua does. Mm-hmm. Just keep him off live stream podcast.
Yeah.
So Nacua scores the touchdown. Rams go up 37-30 in OT. Seattle has to score, but because the Rams won the first game between these two, a tie does the Seahawks no good. Because the Rams still have the W, right?
Exactly.
So the Seahawks had to score, and then a third 2-point conversion, Jack.
My gosh. And this one was just, it looked like a check down pass right over the middle to the tight end. Because, these 2-point plays can be so tricky where it's like, oh, everybody's covered up. What am I going to do as the quarterback scrambling, rolling around? Sam Darnold, just looked over the middle of the field, saw his tight end standing right there, wide open. Like, nobody was near him. And it was a touchdown.
Very well designed, very well executed play.
So win the game.
And it was like your ninth-string tight end. I mean, it's like the Ram defense said, well, we know they're not going to throw it to that dude. And that dude's the one that catches the 2-point conversion for the win. And on the weird 2-point conversion, that was a lateral. Again, I forget the name of the TV ref, but he nailed it, like right away. He was like, hey, guys, watch this. This is a lateral. This is going to get overturned. And it did.
Crazy.
But the thing, look, God love Zach Charbonnet. Everybody's like, what heads up play? Watch the replay, Jack.
He kind of just picked the ball off. It's like he didn't know.
Right. Everybody's giving him credit for this. And look, I'm not dogging him, but he just went over and picked the ball up, and he was standing in the end zone. I think he just went to retrieve the ball because the play's dead.
Let's not make it out to be like he's some sort of genius wizard that just knew. I think he just picked the ball up and
same here.
But it was freak luck that he picked it up and he was in the end zone.
And that's what I was going to say. It was just Seattle was fortunate that old Zach was the guy that walked over. Oh, football plays over. Let me pick this thing up real quick. What if a Ram player was the one standing by it, who just sauntered over to pick it up? So, again, that was some good fortune for Seattle. But I loved it. Oh, and even the Sports Center guys who were just copying what was said on the broadcast. They were like, oh, look at that. Look at that sense of awareness by Charbonnet. And he just walked over and picked up. He didn't run over and now. If you know that's a lateral, you played ball. You're going to run over and dive on that thing, right?
Yeah.
Old Zach just kind of walked over. He had his phone out. He was texting, He was just like, let me pick this thing up. And he was just so happy to be in the end zone. But nevertheless, good fortune for Seattle. Give them a ton of props for coming back. But I'm going to say this. I think the Rams are the better team.
I will say this. Whoever has to play, if the Rams are, they're probably going to be the 5 seed. Mm-hmm. If the season ended today, what you call it, the Seahawks are the 1 seed, Rams would be the 5 seed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the 4 seed would be the Panthers or the Bucks right now, right? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, gosh, and I know the Rams lost to the Panthers earlier this year, but man, whoever has to play the Rams in the first round,
you want none of that smoke.
You're playing the NFL MVP in the first round. I mean, Matt Stafford for losing this game was not his fault.
Oh, he was phenomenal.
Like 457 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Puka Nacua, I don't care what he said online. That's besides the point. He's a dang good football player. 12 catches, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, this guy, as long as this guy's doing that, he could probably say whatever he wants to with his buddies on live stream.
He was so look. The Rams watching this game, and I'm taking nothing away from Seattle. It was a phenomenal comeback. Just me personally watching this game, the Rams are the better team.
I think they have the better quarterback. I think they have the better receiver. I know JSN's a really good player. I think they are defensively. You might give the edge to the Seahawks, but this is
a tick.
But I think offensively, the Rams are built to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'll take Stafford over Darnold every day, easily.
And Sam's a good quarterback.
It's fine, yeah.
But he's not Matt Stafford.
Here's the difference. If you watch, and the numbers back up if you do a deep dive on Darnold, if you keep the pocket clean and give Darnold time to wing it, Darnold this year will take you apart.
Yeah.
You pressure Darnold, and you saw it last night.
A lot of pressure.
The turnovers, pressure. Mm-hmm. Darnold's not good with the pressure. On that last pick in the red zone that you thought ended the game, again, Darnold had the heat coming right in his face and made an awful throw. And he ended up getting picked inside the 10.
To be fair, his offensive line kind of stunk on those sequences.
You know what? Well, they were missing Cross. The left tackle wasn't playing. And Darnold's not great under pressure. That's going to be the whole thing with Seattle. If you can keep Darnold clean in the postseason and just let him process and throw, Darnold can do some damage. And obviously Njigba's phenomenal. But if you start getting heat on Darnold, that's when trouble starts. Stafford's just a dude. Mm-hmm. He's like 75 years old. Look at the year he's having.
37 years old. And
he's just ridiculous.
It's insane.
Just ridiculous. And look, love Nacua. They're good, and they didn't have Devontae Adams last night. Once they get Adams back, love Ferguson, the young tight end. Mm-hmm. The running game's really good. And how about Sean McVay, really quick? Remember the Rams used to be 3-4 wide out, spread the field, throw the rock. Now they're running 2-3 tight ends. They're running the football. They're smash-mouthing you in the face, and then they're throwing off of the smash-mouth you in the face, and you can't stop them.
No,
it's just think about it. They scored 37 points last night and lost.
It's crazy.
They're good, man. They're really good.
They're really good.
And you're right. If you're the Panthers or the Bucks or whatever, that crew's coming to your dojo.
You're screwed. I mean,
yes, you are.
I know the Panthers beat the Rams in Carolina back at the end of November,
okay.
But man, I don't know. And also, Matt Stafford and this team had playoff experience, Super Bowl winning experience.
Yes.
So I trust the Rams to over any team.
Look,
right
no
now.
offense to Canales, Bowles. Sean McVay's playing chess. You guys are playing jacks.
Like Sean McVay. You remember the conversations about Sean McVay retiring
Remember that?
and
Yeah.
going to be a broadcaster?
Yeah.
Let's get real. This guy's a great coach.
Oh, and by the way, at the end of that game, the Rams kicker had not missed a kick all year. Guess what he did? Missed a kick. So, but it was a fun game. Look, I'm not taking anything away from Seattle. Seattle also, look again, Seattle's got a hell of a defense. McDonald's a really good young coach.
If they get the 1 seed, they get to play at what do they call it now, Lumen Field or whatever. 12th man. It's going to be tough for any team to come in there, even the Rams. But
it is because Seattle's really good. I just think the Rams are a tick better. That's all. But it's not taking anything away from Seattle.
Great game though last night. Fantastic.
Absolutely. Hey, this college football playoff thing is coming. We'll get to that at the top of the hour. Some interesting college football news to get into as well. Next, head-scratching things. Coaches still are doing dumb stuff, Jack. We'll get to that next.
What a surprise.
Here on the Extra Point. All right, extra point, Terry Ford, Jack Velcher. Let's get a little correction in here. My bad. I kept saying Darnold threw a pick six. The DB was tackled at the 1.
Yeah, I mean, it was at the
so
1.
That's my fault.
No, it's okay. It looked like it was going to be a pick six.
Yeah, and anyway, the Rams scored on with the next play. So, but yeah, it was not officially a pick six, but I was wrong. Defensive back was tackled at the 1, and then the Rams took it into score from there. So, yep, my fault.
It's okay. Yeah.
My bad.
We can't all be perfect.
Yeah. Well, trust me, I stopped being perfect. I woke up at like about 6:30. I stopped being perfect by 6:31. So, dude, that was over a long time ago. All right. So, just want to clarify though, we were mistaken. So,
it's okay.
and thank our guy Steven for letting me know that. Hey, all right. A lot of college football news we got to get to. Transfer another quarterback in the portal from a Power 4 school. We'll get to that. We're going to get to the college football playoff top of the hour. And plus, something you and I were yipping back and forth about. Oh, what if Alabama does lose? What happens? So we got to get into that. And that's regarding Kalen DeBoer. But first, I shouldn't be surprised, but I just am constantly surprised by the lack of understanding, self-awareness, understanding the world we live in, reading the room. Ohio University, their head coach, Brian Smith, first year on the gig, team goes 8-4, right? Good season. That'll get you in a bowl game. Well, right at the end of the year, Smith was fired. And you're like, oh, we know this ain't good, right? We know this is going to be TMZ stuff. Well, Ohio University cited football coach Brian Smith's romantic relationships, including one he admitted with a student, as well as an allegation of public intoxication in a letter stating the intent to fire him for cause.
That's all you could say. Just it's so head-scratching to me. These guys, Brian Smith is making nearly $1 million. You know, he's at a G5 school, Mac school. That's great. You're making a lot of money, more money than any of us will ever see in our lifetime. I just don't understand why these coaches, with Sharon Moore too, is in this case, they got so much money hand over fist. They got beautiful wives. They got kids. They got a happy life. It's why wreck it all for some freaking girl? A young girl, a student.
Jack, all I know is this. When we let other parts of our body make our decisions, bad things happen. Look, and then his attorney, Smith's attorney, Rex Elliott, responds to the letter from the president of the school, which had that blurb I just read. Elliott said that Smith didn't participate in an extramarital affair because he was separated from his wife and they were going through a divorce and living apart. But no, that's not the point. The point is, just like, Sharon Moore was married with kids. The point is, and I'm guessing Smith had this in his contract, all these coaches have a morals clause in their contract. Mm-hmm. Now, again, I don't spin morality. That's not my bag. Nobody's perfect. But you have a morality clause, and you're the head coach. You can't be screwing around with students.
These guys are idiots.
I mean,
it's
what gets
insane.
Me. If this guy is separated from his wife, that's his business. And if you want to go date, that's your business.
But date someone your age. I don't care how hot this student may have been. Like, it's like this guy's 45 years old, man. And what is up with? I don't know what the deal is. If Smith forced this, if the girl was actually attracted to him, I don't know why you would, because he's an old man. But I got no clue, man. I got no clue.
And again, I know a couple. I know guys who are in their 40s and 50s, and they love dating 20-year-old women.
Look at Leonardo DiCaprio.
Fun. Yeah, I mean, there are dudes. I mean, I have got a guy in my family who is in his 50s, And I'll be honest, he's got an under 30 rule. You do you, man. It's fine.
I'll say this.
But when you are a coach and you know you have a morals clause in your contract, which I'm guessing he had, you just wasted $1 million a year. I always look at money. I balance the when I'm finished up with whatever this is, how's it going to crater my life? You just cratered your life. Congratulations.
Just so bad.
It's crazy. All right, college football playoff talk next here on Extra Point.
As we wrap up the first hour here, got to talk to you guys real quick about AAA Heating and Air. If you're a small business owner, a church, or other entity in need of a new HVAC system, AAA has exciting news for you. AAA now offers financing to qualified organizations to aid them in installing a new light commercial HVAC system. It is as easy as calling AAA Heating and Air for a quote or finding them online at callAAAtoday.com. Tell them Jack from 107.5 The Game sent you. At AAA Heating and Air, they've got your back. They're offering up to 12-month payment plans on repairs with no credit check required. That's right. No need to worry about your credit score. As long as you're a homeowner with a valid bank account, you'll be good to go. So take control of your comfort today by giving a call to AAA Heating and Air at 803-677-1500. Give them a call today and breathe easy again.
Covered inbounds. So
Yeah, if that was close too. Because if it were, oh, there's an interception on the first play thereafter. Eli Bowen down the sideline. He may go. Ty Simpson back there. Can't tackle him. Touchdown, Eli Bowen.
That was a thing right there. Oklahoma with the pick six. Part of that victory over Alabama earlier this year to put Oklahoma in the college football playoff, Jack. I mean, that was that elimination game for the Sooners.
Mm-hmm.
They're in. They host Bama tonight. I know we have to send your, I mean, I was supposed to get those picks to you 58 seconds ago. But
at least you're aware of it. You're not. You're actually not the only one. You know, Yuva barely beat you, and he was on radio this morning. So
I know he was at hanging out in Myrtle Beach or Conway.
You know what Yuva told me? You know how Coastal's done free concessions all year long? Mm-hmm. They're not doing free concessions today.
Well, that's because they don't control. This is a bowl. I think the bowl game folks control it. Remember?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's not.
That's right.
It's not Chance and those guys at Coastal. It's
I was disappointed. I'm like
the bowl game people.
The bowl game.
Bowl game folks want their dough, man.
Yeah, they want their money.
Yeah, they want paid, bro. By the way, I mean, it was 60-some degrees at Myrtle and Conway today, but they had that for a while there, man. I thought it was like the movie Twister.
Yeah.
The way you heard the wind. Yuva had a sweatshirt on. But by the way, yeah, we woke Yuva up at like 5 in the morning. Said Mike, because Mike was there on site for us when we got there at 5:30. Yeah, Yuva's working.
He is. I haven't seen him since the hire for him, but man, he's probably a changed man now.
My man's grinding.
Man's probably getting gray hairs, man.
Oh yeah,
God.
yeah. Mike's working.
Yeah.
I talk to him every now and then, and I want to thank Mike Yuva and Chance Miller and all the folks at Coastal for setting us up today. It was very cool of them.
They're great.
We reached out and said, "Hey, look, we want to do something for the Myrtle Beach Bowl. We'd like to maybe bring the morning show down and." Talked to Mike, and Mike was all for it, and Chance was in, and everybody was just thank everybody at Conway there. It was
they're
it was
awesome.
Cool for us to come be able to hang out and for all the help that they gave us, and so appreciate you. But yeah, I remember Mike took the gig. I'm like, this is like 12-hour days or nothing, dude. That's what you do.
Like this is different. Like this is like he is the Steve Fink of Coastal Carolina.
Yeah. He is.
That's who he is now.
He is. So, anyway, just funny. All right, so
Oklahoma.
I'll say this. Look, tons of props to the Sooners for getting themselves in the college football playoff. And really, their offense, when Mateer got hurt, after Mateer, the quarterback, returned, Jack, the offense wasn't the same. He wasn't the same. And it felt like Brent Venables more and more, because again, he's a defensive coordinator, he's a defensive guy. It felt like that offense got pulled back and was more about defense and special teams, and the offense would just make an occasional explosive play in the passing game.
Yeah.
Can't run the ball at all, by the way.
No.
We talk about how Alabama can't run the ball. Oklahoma can't run the ball either.
No.
So, I know the game's in Norman. I think Alabama wins a close game. And look, the total yards in this game, Alabama almost doubled Oklahoma in total yards in that game in Norman. It's just Alabama kept tripping over their feet. How many turnovers did Bama have? How many stupid plays, the special teams mistakes? If Alabama can play clean, I think they're better. But can they play clean?
That's the thing.
That's the thing.
And they went to, I know last year doesn't really matter for this year, but they've been to Norman and got spanked. I mean, it's...
And they were the much better team last year and got whooped in Norman.
I think the pressure is far more on Alabama in this game. Mm-hmm. Brent Venables' job is safe for sure.
Oh, yeah, he bought himself 2 or 3 years now with this game, making the college football
with a playoff appearance. He can smoke tonight. It won't matter. Alabama, on the other hand, is a different story. If they lose tonight, all this stuff floating around out there about Kalen DeBoer, Michigan, him putting out a statement saying that, they're going to work towards a contract extension at Alabama, this and that. Look, it may not matter. If Alabama loses tonight, I think you're going to have people in Tuscaloosa with pitchforks heading over to Kalen DeBoer's house, wherever he lives.
Remember the old school movies that got the torches?
Oh, yeah. Got like the torches, got like the pitchforks. I mean, it's like those people will not accept another 9-win season. Like that, like a 10-win season. It's just not gonna happen.
No, and think about what you just said. 98% of the country would kill for 9 and 10-win seasons. And at Bama, it's like, who cares? Did you win the championship? Even getting to the championship game isn't good enough.
No,
Jack.
because they expect championships.
And look, are their expectations insane? Yes.
Yes.
Because of what Nick did. What Nick did, we're not going to see again in this era we live in now with the transfer portal and NIL and rev share. I don't think we're going to see a run like Alabama. Not in our lifetime.
No.
So their expectations are just kooky. But that being said, bring them down a notch. Let's bring it down to sane. In Tuscaloosa, they expect you to be in the college football playoff pretty much every year. Mm-hmm. You've got to win games in the college football playoff. Maybe not win a championship every year, because, again, that's dumb. But you just making the playoff, they do like, here's what they do in Alabama. Who cares, right? Nick was making the 4-team playoff every year. Mm-hmm. So for Caleb DeBoer, you got to understand what you're doing at Alabama is fine at UW, and UW wants to win. Don't get me wrong.
But it's
different. It's
different at every school.
Yes,
Bama is not like these other schools.
Let me ask you this: is there a school with a higher level of expectation than Alabama? The only one I can think of even close, I don't think they're at the levels of Ohio State.
Or Georgia.
But I don't think they're...
But I don't think they're as...
They're not as kook as Alabama.
No, not yet. But.
So here's to your point. Let's say you get beat tonight. I don't care if you get beat 20-19, 3-2, 50-49, doesn't matter.
3-2.
You just get beat, right?
Yeah.
If you're Kalen DeBoer and you're human, all these coaches are human. You've sat 2 years now hearing about Nick. Walking by his office, by the way, in your facility.
Still has an office there, yeah.
All you're hearing is this. Well, Nick did it this way. Nick did it that way. Nick. By the way, if you're Kalen DeBoer, don't you hate this guy? Aren't you tired of hearing about this guy?
Deep down, yeah.
I mean, so you spent 2 years, and look, you took the gig knowing what you were getting. This is not feeling sorry for Kalen DeBoer.
No, he's living a good life.
I was going to say, well, look at that bank account.
Yeah.
But again, you're living the pressure of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, following the greatest coach in the history of college football. 2 years of this. And you know this, Jack. You think you know what you know, but you don't know. You think you knew what you were getting yourself into, but until you jump into that cauldron of hot boiling water every day.
No.
So you've done this for 2 years. And you've won 19 games in 2 years. Let's say you do lose tonight. And these people, like you say, the pitchforks, they're ready to burn your house down.
It's going to get ugly. And
how good's the Michigan job look?
Here's the thing. I think there's a reason why Michigan hasn't hired anybody yet, because look, the whole Sharon Moore case, they've known about it for weeks. Mm-hmm. So I think they've probably made contingency plans to get ready for it. You hear the way Arizona State's coach, Kenny Dillingham, has been kind of talking to the media, crying in press conferences and whatnot. I think he would get the job right now if I had to put my money on it. But that is if Alabama wins.
Mm-hmm.
If Alabama loses, I can honestly see Kalen DeBoer getting on a flight to Ann Arbor tomorrow.
I could see him leave Norman.
Yeah.
And get on a flight and go straight to Ann Arbor, Michigan.
He might pull Lane Kiffin, get fired on the tarmac, and then hey, we got another plane that's going to Ann Arbor around here, Detroit even. I'll drive to Ann Arbor. Like, I could totally see a way in which this, like, there's just no way this is going to go well if Alabama loses.
Look, I'm with you. I do think look, I would not be surprised in any way, shape, or form if Alabama loses, Kalen DeBoer becomes a head coach in Michigan. It would not surprise me.
He's a Midwest guy. The expectations are different there. He's got plenty of resources.
Yes.
It's like Alabama without all the stupid level expectations.
Here's the thing, too. There's a reason Kalen DeBoer's name was up for the Penn State gig. There's a reason why Kalen DeBoer's name is up for the Michigan gig. Kalen DeBoer's agent is making sure Kalen DeBoer is out there, And we'll get to the extension stuff we're hearing in a second. And usually when you do this, Jack, you're either trying to get more money for your guy at his stop he's at now, or he's going to take another job. Look, I get the game. I get the agent game. But if I am Mal Moore at Alabama and you call me about a contract extension after I do this, I'm like, why? Well, my guy's being courted by Michigan. He's won 19 games in 2 years, Chief. You know you're talking to the AD at Alabama, right? Why don't you call me back when you win a championship? Have a good day. Click. There is no way, if I'm the AD at Alabama, that I'm giving Kalen DeBoer an extension.
No.
Because Michigan's sniffing around. Go to Michigan. Just have a good life. See you, bye. I'm Alabama.
They can get
Yes.
probably whoever they want.
They will be okay.
Like, 2 years ago, it seemed like there were a ton of candidates that Alabama was trying to pull in, but I don't think anybody wanted the job because they had to follow up Saban.
Oh,
Well,
right.
I wonder if it's different this time around.
Yes, it is.
And also,
You're not the dude following the dude anymore.
I will just say this. Can you imagine this? I think this is not even a wild scenario.
I know what you're going to do. Go.
You know where this is going.
Yes.
Kalen DeBoer goes to Michigan, and Lane Kiffin.
Would not surprise me.
Would not surprise me at all.
No.
Like, that would be the perfect way to wrap up this whole stupid, crazy saga.
Yes, it would. Because, look, let's be honest here. Lane Kiffin showed us that Lane Kiffin's still Lane Kiffin. All that Disney movie fertilizer about being
that
in Oxford.
documentary, yoga and all that. No.
At the end of the day, our boy is our boy, and Kiffin is Kiffin. And when you turn your back and walk away from a college football playoff team, you'll do anything. So nothing would surprise me if, and you're right, that would put a bow on this insanity. That Lane Kiffin, by the way, and you know this too, sometimes these guys don't get around to signing their contract really quick. Has Kiffin even signed his deal with LSU?
I don't even know. I haven't even seen. You would think by now he would have, because it's been how many weeks since?
Some of these guys don't. Some of these guys will, they just don't sign it, right? They just get working and get recruiting and get this and that. And some of them, I have heard of coaches who will take months before they sign their contract officially.
So I looked it up on Google, and Google's the wisest
Is
of
he
all.
officially signed it?
It says yes, he has signed a major contract with LSU. So
If ink's on paper, still he can leave.
there's always ways to get out.
There's a buyout, right?
He's got money.
He can buy it out. I'm sure there's no language in that deal that says once you sign the contract, you have to coach X amount of time there. There's nothing in that contract that would say that, I don't think.
No.
So, yeah, our guy could go, hey, Bama, you want to pay the buyout? I'll be in Tuscaloosa in
48 hours.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I think we both think Alabama's going to win tonight. Does that save his job? Like, if they win a playoff game, is Kalen DeBoer? But I think it's more so, like, does he want the Michigan job? I don't think it's much more of, like, is he getting it run out of town? I think it's just, does he want the job is the big question.
Well, that's the big question is he worn out after 2 years of following Nick in that nut house?
So it's only going to be like that for the rest of his career.
You will never be the guy at Alabama, ever. But here's the thing. Now you get to go to Ann Arbor and clean up the mess that Sharon Moore made.
You get to follow Sharon Moore.
Yeah, ready?
Just don't sleep with any staffers while you're there.
Yeah, stay away from hooking up with staffers and students, and you're okay. Ready? Who would you rather follow, Nick Saban or Sharon Moore?
I would definitely say Sharon Moore because it cannot get much worse than Sharon freaking Moore.
It's insane. All right, the transfer portal is opened. We'll get you caught up on South Carolina in case you missed it. There has been a new member in the portal from South Carolina from yesterday. Also, a Power 4 quarterback, Jack Veltri, has jumped into the portal. We'll talk about that next here on the post-game show. I knew I was going to do it once. I knew it. Extra point, Jack Veltri, Terry Ford on the game. Extra point. Terry Ford, Jack Veltri. And we're going to get back to the college football playoff talk here in just a minute. Catch you on these other games. That, by the way, I don't think it'll be very close. Well, one game is going to be very close, and the other two aren't. But hey, guess who's in the portal?
Balance, and they can't establish the run. It really neutralizes what it can do.
Do a good job picking up the backers. Hoover puts it right on the money. What a throw to Jordan Dwyer, and the Horned Frogs have answered. 27 yards.
Josh Hoover, TCU quarterback, into the portal.
Why are we talking about a TCU quarterback, Terry? You got any idea?
I don't know. You tell me. I'm blanking, Jack.
Well, he just so happened to work with a fella named Kendall Briles. You, for those of you listening, you may have heard of him before. He just so happens to be the offensive coordinator in South Carolina.
That guy.
Yeah, and he, he also has another little connection to South Carolina with his brother playing baseball here. So, all that to be said, I mean, look, Lenore Sellers hasn't put pen to paper yet. I have not seen an official tweet from Garnet Trust or Gamecock Football, whoever. I have not seen anything put out yet.
Are you being tinfoil hat guy?
Maybe. I don't know, man. Look, I don't know. I don't know when that's gonna happen. We saw over the weekend finalizing a deal with Lenore's, but hey, look, it's worth noting for us because the guy has a connection to South Carolina and to Briles. So
it's interesting. Hoover's year last season was weird. The first half of it was good. Then they just hit a bumpy road on offense. Hoover had turnovers. He struggled. The offense kind of hit a little clunky patch there near the end of the year. But Hoover's good, man. Make no mistake. Hoover is he's not a runner. He's not a dual threat dude.
No, but he can sling. He's a passer.
He can sling.
And I don't know, man. This might be a little bit of a hot take. I might get hooked for it, but I personally think if he were to somehow come to South Carolina, I think he could not only win this starting job, I think he could beat out Lenore Sellers for
really. Do you now?
I mean, look at the passing numbers, man.
He can throw it.
He can throw it. Look, it's great that you can run and all, but look, Lenore's has got so much work to do. His footwork is, quite frankly, atrocious. He's a great player, but it's all about potential with Lenore's, right? We did not see him play very well this past season. He made some good throws, but Josh Hoover's a better quarterback in terms of throwing the football.
Oh, I mean,
this guy threw for 4,000 yards almost in 2024. Like, we're talking about a quarterback that, yes, he throws some interceptions, but this guy doesn't get sacked a lot. I mean, for not being a runner, got sacked less than... He's only gotten sacked 42 times throughout his entire career. You know who got sacked 42 times in one season? Lenore Sellers. It's different circumstances. I get it. And I don't ultimately think Hoover would come to South Carolina because the thing is, this guy's a 3-year starter. If anything, maybe he goes to Clemson because he's got the connection to Garrett Riley from his first year at TCU. So all this to be said, I think if Hoover did come to South Carolina magically, I think he'd be great here. But, they got Lenore Sellers. So it's but I do think Hoover could beat out Lenore Sellers in a potential starting quarterback competition. It would be great to bring pressure on Lenore's to get him ready for next season, but I don't think you do that with a guy that's been a 3-year starter.
I mean, I get where you're going on that. It would be a juicy, fun competition to watch. But, Hoover wants to go somewhere where he knows he's guaranteed to be the starter.
That's probably at Clemson or a million other schools.
Yeah, I mean, again, Clemson with the Garrett Riley connection. And look, and we'll talk about Dabo because you wanted to bring that up about Dabo's
little comments the other day.
But it's just the idea, and I'll try to pull that up on the old Twitter machine. But yeah, Hoover's going to want to go somewhere where they look at him and say, "Dude, we guarantee you're a starter, and here's some millions to come quarterback."
And
for us.
we know that will not happen at South Carolina because
unless something would happen with Lenore Sellers.
Like if Lenore's is not here,
that's a different conversation.
Again, we think he's going to be back, but we don't know.
Feels like it.
Feels like it. But here's the thing: we go back to 2 years ago when Lenore's was coming off his freshman year, didn't play really a lot, redshirted. And then he had to battle for the starting job. They brought in Robbie Ashford, and they probably had a lot of other guys that they could have offered to come in. but guys wanted to be the starter. I remember Shane talking about that. Like they had to turn some guys down because he's not going to promise anyone the starting job. So it's a little bit of give and take, and I don't think you're getting a guy like Hoover here if that's the case. But if Lenoris is not here, like again, until pen is put to paper, then I'm not believing anything yet. But it seems like he'll be here, but we don't know that for sure. I mean, things could always go wrong in negotiations. We don't know. But, yeah, I would say, right now Lenoris is definitely your guy, but this is a nice option if you want something out there in case things go haywire.
Yeah, Hoover's really good, and I think what will happen is him hitting the portal, there's no quarterback who has accumulated more yardage that will be in the portal than Hoover.
No, I mean this guy thrown for when he plays next season, he'll have thrown for over 10,000 yards. I mean that's insane stuff.
He is, and really last year it kind of was weird at the end. But if you go back to 2024, remember at the end of 2024, there was a lot of talk that teams are coming after him. To try, remember, Tennessee wanted to get him in the portal.
Yeah.
To get him at Tennessee, and Hoover wouldn't leave TCU. Not to say anybody would ever, tamper Jack. That would never happen.
No, I wouldn't.
No, but there was a lot of smoke around Tennessee back channeling Josh Hoover. That's how good Hoover was in 2024 at TCU. So he hits the portal. Unless there's something happening with Lenore Sellers that he doesn't end up here, you'll see. I think the Hoover-Clemson thing is interesting.
I think so, too.
Because of Garrett Riley. But again, is Clemson going to do what Clemson hasn't done under Dabo, and that's drop a large check on a player in the portal?
That's true. Also, did not realize this. Hoover also has a connection with Tom Allen, who's the DC over at Clemson, because he committed to Indiana in 2021. Also, Indiana's going to need a quarterback because Fernando Mendoza, he's going to be making some money.
Again, he's going to go. He'll be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
And if you're a Josh Hoover, any of these quarterbacks in the portal, Indiana looks good, man.
Yeah.
Just they do.
So a lot of connections for Hoover to go around. We'll see what happens with Sellers. I think that's your priority right now. But there's some good quarterbacks entering the portal. I will say that. So.
And, when you look at now, you got Hoover, you got Levitt, obviously, you got Lagway. And I know I'm missing a couple off the top of my head, but you got some dudes in the portal. It's going to be very interesting. You talk about the coaching carousel. The quarterback carousel is going to be fun once the portal opens.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.
Oh, and by the way, I know the NCAA did what they did to kind of make this portal try to make more sense. But there's nothing in this that can stop players from announcing they're going in it. Because right now it's not January 2nd, Jack. So when we're sitting here before Christmas and everybody's saying they're going in the portal, that gives them time to do what? Negotiate with people.
And get a deal done as soon as
the portal opens.
These rules. The NCAA is its own worst enemy. I'll just say that.
All right, we'll pop back in, get some more college football playoff talk to look at the rest of the games on the weekend as we get the CFP rolling. That's next. Extra Point. Jack Veltri, Terry Ford, appreciate you hanging out with us. We go to 11 on the game. Well, obviously, the Rams' defense sprung a leak last night in overtime against Seattle.
You could say Seattle did as well, but they won the game. So.
There was a lot of leakage last night, Jack.
A lot of points scored, but that's fun for us.
It was fun last night, that Thursday Night Football game. I mean, look, Sam Darnold sprung a leak for a little bit. There's a lot of leaking going on last night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounded weird. Might want to rephrase that. But anyway.
Reverse.
So, yeah, a lot of springing leaks last night in Thursday Night Football between the Seahawks and the Rams. We talked about it last hour. Seahawks win in overtime, 38-37. Phenomenal football game. All right, so as we look forward to this college football playoff weekend, we both agree Bama. I think Bama wins a very close game. We both agree Bama will win. And if we don't, the fun could really start. We got into that earlier about Kalen DeBoer. All right, I think that Miami and Texas A&M could be close. I got A&M. I think A&M wins at home, and I'll tell you why. I don't trust Mario Cristobal with in-game decisions as much as I could throw you. I think Cristobal is an awful in-game coach. Hell of a recruiter. Obviously, he's got Miami back being not the U, but back being a good football program. But I'm going to tell you, man, you remember the debacle against Georgia Tech. This guy in game, his decision making. Look, in the coaching, if we're doing the matchup, the coaching matchup, I think Elko. I'll take Elko any day over Cristobal in the coaching matchup.
I agree.
And I think A&M's more explosive on offense. I think that's where, because Miami's not explosive on offense.
But Miami's good on offense, but
not as good as A&M.
No, man. but there's a big but there with A&M because
who's big butt? Whose big butt are we talking about, Jack?
Oh, well, anyway, A&M, Marcel Reed, great quarterback, dynamic, can run. We've seen what can happen, though, when he gets put under pressure and he makes some bad throws, bad decisions.
He's got 10 picks.
Yeah, Miami could take advantage of that.
Miami's defense is phenomenal, too, just like A&M. And Miami's got NFL dudes.
And also, Concepcion, Cravers, two great receivers. But, man, and just watching them from when they played South Carolina, they drop a lot of freaking
There's a lot of drops. A&M can drop it, especially, they can drop it. Here's my thing. You can force Reed into some bad decisions. He has 10 picks. He's tied for the most picks by a quarterback who's still left in the college football playoff. You know who he's tied with?
Who?
Carson Beck of Miami.
Yeah.
So I think this game is going to be close. Whichever quarterback stays away from the big mistake is going to be huge in this game.
Huge.
Because they both will make them. Mm-hmm. We've seen Beck make mistakes and dumb throws. We've seen Reed make mistakes and dumb throws. The difference is Reed can kill you with his legs and Beck can't run unless he's running for his NIL check. He moves a lot better when he's running for his NIL check.
He does.
But I think A&M at home, but would I be surprised if Miami won? No, because Miami has a ton of talent.
I actually have Miami winning.
Do you
this
have
game.
Miami winning?
I'm the only one in staff picks to have Miami.
Yeah, I'm going to pick A&M, so you'll be the only guy picking.
Yeah. Because I'm also doing it because I need to make up some ground in staff picks.
Am I still going from first to worst?
Yeah, unfortunately, I did the calculation. Yesterday.
You're happy I went from first to worst.
So you're 94-64, which is a good record, by the way. But it just so happens that's the worst in the league. So
has anyone ever gone from first place one year to last place the next year?
I don't know.
I might have done something record-setting.
You might have, because it's pretty remarkable what you're doing here.
I know how much you enjoyed watching because last year I beat you by one game.
You beat me by one game.
And you've been bitter. You've been a bitter man for a long time.
And as a result, I'm only 3 games ahead of you. So I'm like right there with you, man.
But yeah, so I get you trying to make up ground. I get it. Look, Miami has got a ton of talent, and if they won this game, I wouldn't be one bit surprised because, again, Bain is a dude on defense. They have some defensive backs that are excellent, and they could bait Reed into some bad throws, and Miami could force some stuff and win this football game, no doubt. So even if I'm picking A&M at home, I still, if you and I were sitting here in a couple of weeks when we all come back, I'll be like, no, dude, I wasn't surprised Miami won.
No.
Not at all.
It wouldn't surprise me one bit. The thing about A&M I worry about is I have confidence they can win this game, no doubt, for sure. I think they can potentially win a national championship. The problem with them, though, is I'm still not sold on them.
Because they're A&M, right? Tell the truth. They're A&M.
They had a pretty – I know they beat Notre Dame, and Miami beat Notre Dame too, so it all cancels out. Miami lost 2 games in the ACC that they probably shouldn't have lost. But A&M, 11-0, and then they lose that game to Texas, and it's like they didn't make the SEC championship game. This is who they are. This is always who they've been, is a team that it can be good, but when the time comes to make things happen, where are they at? So I worry about them in this game because history tells us they've never been to this point before in the SEC.
You know what's funny you bring that up? Because I was doing that all year with them. Okay, they're going to be A&M at some point. Okay, November's here. November A&M is going to show up. And it showed up against Texas. Because, they wanted to win that game worse than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And look, let's be honest. This year, they're better than Texas.
This better.
Was their chance, right? This was their year to smack them. And they still lost that game.
Yeah.
And that's what always sticks in the back of your head on Texas A&M is when are they going to be A&M, who they've been forever. And it could very well happen at home against Miami. So I get where you're coming from on that because up until, I don't know at what point I said, well, you know what, maybe this is not the usual Texas A&M. But then they got beat by Texas, and you go, okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing about Texas A&M is their schedule. Look, it was a tough schedule. You play in the SEC, but it wasn't as tough. Like Oklahoma, Alabama, South Carolina. For the love of God, there were a lot tougher schedules in the SEC than Texas A&M.
Like A&M had to play the lesser teams in the SEC.
Yeah.
So, and then they get beat by Texas, who was arguably like the main. Like they played Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida, Arkansas, LSU, Missouri, Carolina, Samford, Texas to close out the year after that Notre Dame game. Like they did not have it tough. We're not battle tested. And also, let's also not forget this is the same team that was down 30-3 at halftime against South Carolina. Like I know for they came back, they won the game. That's what matters. But this is a football team that in the last few weeks, let's forget about the Samford game, their last 2 meaningful games, they lost to Texas, and they were down 30-3 to South Carolina. So I don't know what that means. It could mean A&M just sleepwalks through this game and gets beat. I don't know. Maybe it means they'll show up and be a completely different team. It is a noon kick. It's 11 a.m. out there, Kyle Field. It was also an 11 a.m. kick when South Carolina went in there and beat them in the first half. I don't know. I don't know what to think, but you're right about the quarterbacks, though. Whichever quarterback shows up in this game, that team's going to win.
It's probably the big key. I'll flip it over to Miami. Miami lost 2 games they had no business losing.
No.
And, that's really, so we take both of these teams and Cristobal and his goofy in-game decisions. So we put both of these teams in the same incubator and say, okay, both of them can, and I'll be kind, soil themselves.
Yeah.
So that's the other part. Who soils themselves the least? Because Miami hasn't been in this situation in a minute. A&M's never been in this situation. So we got 2 squads who are playing in games that their programs aren't used to, either Miami in the last, 20 years?
Yeah.
And A&M ever. So there might be some weirdness in this game.
It's going to be a good game, though. Like, after this, though, I get concerned. At that point, I am going to be gladly turning the channel over to the NFL.
Man, I love underdogs. I hope that JMU and Ole Miss can hang out, at least make them competitive.
You mean Tulane?
Tulane, yeah. Tulane and James Madison, I'm hoping because, again,
hoping it's good games.
I just want close games. I don't think either one's going to win, but just make it interesting. Just make it interesting.
Because last year the first round was not all blowouts.
Yep, it was awful.
So
I would like this for an example. And then look, for the underdog formula, to make it close at least, is like Tulane and JMU have to score touchdowns and can't kick field goals, and they got to force Ole Miss and Oregon to kick field goals.
Yeah.
They got to find a way to get some turnovers. They got to get some big plays. They themselves have to play clean. And then they got to have some goofy stuff happen, right? That's kind of the formula, sort of like the NCAA tournament Cinderella formula, right? I don't see either one of those things happening to where they're going to win. I just want in the fourth quarter to be interested, dude.
Yes.
I don't want to see Ole Miss and Oregon running out the cheerleaders and the mascots in the fourth quarter.
Give me a reason not to change the channel.
Exactly.
So.
All right, our final segment, we will pop back in. Dabo Sweeney had some interesting comments about the transfer portal. We'll get to those next here on The Extra Point. Terry Ford, Jack Veltri on the game. Extra Point, final segment in the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Wes and Chris. Will be coming up. Okay, so, Jack, we've talked a ton about everything. Even got some transfer portal. Josh Hoover of TCU in the portal, the quarterback. We talked about, even though the portal doesn't officially open till January 2nd, that doesn't stop players, if their team season is over, from announcing they will be in the portal. Mm-hmm. Because we know tampering's everywhere. Everywhere. Well, except one place. One place there's no tampering, Jack.
That's right.
According to Dabo, it ain't happening at Clemson. Here's the ball coach talking about the philosophy of the transfer portal in the upstate.
The portal opens on the 2nd. I know everybody's working all these deals. We don't do that. So, there'll be some of the best players out there. They'll go in the portal, and 10 minutes later, I'm committed somewhere. That ain't how we operate here. We're gonna do it right. We're gonna do it right, and we're not gonna cut deals with people and all that stuff. I don't care what other people do. We'll see who's in there. We'll get rolling that weekend. Everybody have a couple days to just kind of recalibrate, reset, refocus on what we got to do. Obviously, the new year, and then we'll be right back in here that weekend, and be a big staff meeting, and we move in the mid-years on the 4th, and then we've got that whole week of trying to, obviously, we got to fill some spots on our roster, and visits and all that. Plus, we'll be out on the road recruiting. So we've got the 27 class. We've got portal stuff we got to deal with, just like everybody else. We'll have our banquet. There's a lot going on.
Okay, I'm going to say this. If I'm a Clemson fan, and you're coming off of this past season, I think this is just me if I was a Clemson fan. If I got a chance to talk to Dabo, I would say, why the hell aren't you tampering? Everybody else is. What are you doing, Dabo? We're falling behind, man. We need players, dude. You got to stop this Daboism stuff. Look at this. Look where you're at. Look at the world. Dabo, tamper. That would be me as a Clemson fan, to be honest.
And I may get killed for saying this, but I think he's one of the last few good men in college football because of stuff like this. Look, say what you want about him, but this guy, he probably does need to get with the times. But I agree. I agree with everything he's saying. Doing it the right way, because we got to stop with this tampering nonsense. The schedule's so freaking whack to begin with. Of the teams are opting out of bowl games, players are opting out of bowl games. You got tampering going on right and left. It's all a mess. I'm glad they moved the calendar to having just one transfer portal window, and that's it. There's no need for two. Figure out what you're doing and stick with it. Be committed somewhere. But I don't necessarily disagree with what Dabo said, because the focus right now should be on going to win a bowl game and finishing out the year.
You're exactly right.
But that's not how the calendar.
But that's not the way this works.
The calendar is such nonsense.
Sure it is.
And it doesn't allow you to, because all the talk, even Josh Heupel, Tennessee's coach, was talking about, trying to get ready for Illinois in the Music City Bowl. But everyone's asking about your new defensive coordinator, you're going to go get a new quarterback, transfer portal, yada, yada, yada. It's just so backwards, in my opinion.
Here's the thing, and I think you're right. Dabo's telling the truth. There are other coaches who will get up there and say we're not tampering, and I go, yeah, seriously, dude.
Say what you will. Say what you want about Dabo. He's a truth teller.
He's legit here.
Yes.
He's not going to tamper. He's not going to cut deals, and then it's the minute after the portal opens, he's announcing 5 signings. Dabo's real here. Problem is, Dabo is on that hill almost by himself anymore. Everybody else is tampering. Everybody else is cutting deals. Everybody else is making back channel moves, and so you're going to miss out. You just are.
But he deserves the benefit of the doubt.
But here's the problem,
to
Jack,
go out there and do what
Jack,
he feels.
But here's the thing, though. Again, look at the season you just had. Look at where your program has been. Yeah, you made the playoffs last year, but you kind of backdoored your way in, to be honest.
Yeah.
Your program isn't where it was, and part of the problem is you're not getting in with the new world that you have to get in with. I love Dabo's honor. I love his honesty. I love he wants to do it, quote unquote, the right way. But guess what? You get left behind because the truth of the matter is most of college football is doing it the wrong way.
They are.
And you can die on that hill,
but
man.
that's the problem, though, is that they are.
But you can't fix everybody,
I know.
Jack.
You can't change, some bad eggs out there.
There's a lot of no, Jack.
No.
The carton's filled with bad eggs.
Oh, it's Dabo's the only one of the only good eggs.
And I love your integrity too, just like Dabo. Problem is, integrity is of short supply.
Integrity means nothing. Integrity, loyalty mean absolutely nothing.
And it's sad. I mean, but that's why I'm saying,
pathetic.
Dude, you want to win? Dabo's got to look in the mirror at some point and wants to know, does he want to move forward in this world?
But he's never going to change, Terry.
And that might be, he might have to go, you know what?
That might be his downfall.
It might be. You know what's sad? Integrity and honesty could be your downfall.
It's so backwards, man.
It's crazy. Hey, but always good hanging out with you.
It was fun, man. Merry Christmas, happy holidays
you too.
to you.
Happy holidays to you, my friend. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour is next here on The Game.
All right, as we close out the second hour of the Extra Point, if you're a small business owner, a church, or other entity in need of a new HVAC system, AAA Heating and Air has exciting news for you then. AAA now offers financing to qualified organizations to aid them in installing a new light commercial HVAC system. It's as easy as calling AAA Heating and Air for a quote or finding them online at callAAAtoday.com. Tell them Jack from 107.5 The Game sent you. At AAA Heating and Air, they've got your back. They're offering up to 12-month payment plans on repairs with no credit check. That's right. No need to worry about your credit score. As long as you're a homeowner with a valid bank account, you'll be good to go. So take control of your comfort today. Give a call to AAA Heating and Air at 803-677-1500. Again, the number to call AAA is 803-677-1500. Give them a call today and breathe easy again.
Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Terry Ford hanging for Tyler. Chris is here. Wes is here. Hope. Hey, Wes.
How we doing?
Oh, there he is. Look at
here,
you
loud
and
and
I working
clear.
technology, Wes. Look at us.
I had no doubts, Terry.
Yeah, right. I would have loved to have maybe seen the text chain with you and Clark going, Ford's going to totally screw this thing up. We know that.
Hey, we hit it on the first try.
I know. How scary is that? Man, look at us. Got Chris Clark. Got to get him in camera range. Now we got you.
I have so many screens in front of me. It's like I'm at NASA Control Center over here.
Hey, Wes, you know how much Clark loves to be on the video, by the way.
He was just telling me about that, how much he was looking forward to it.
Yesterday, Wes did the 10, of course, and so I came in and he was already set up because Jack always sits here on the right because he's like the control center. Wes normally is on the right when he's here in studio during the 11, but Wes was set up in the spot I'm normally in, so I had to come down here. I didn't like it.
No, Chris
and I
is
don't
not
like it right now.
Chris is not comfortable if he's not in his chair.
Wes and I are always on the same side on the podcast, too, which is just streaming. We're just doing it from our home office, and if we're switched on the opposite side, it just throws the whole thing off.
We've been doing this, what was it, almost 4 years we've been doing this now, something like that? Clark has had the same chair for like 4 years, Wes. Chris doesn't like change.
No, I don't.
Chris is not
Creature of habit.
All right, fellas, I guess we'll get this underway with some Gamecock transfer portal news that popped yesterday with wide receiver Brian Rowe hitting the portal. Thoughts? We'll start with you, Chris.
Man, so I think looking at the context here, I mean, this is just, it's the world we live in now, where every offseason you go into it saying, all right, you're going to have transfers. Wes has his, I'm surprised this has not taken off more nationally. It needs to. We need to make Wes and his doctrine famous of the healthy transfer.
I love that.
It's perfect.
It is perfect.
So you're going to have healthy transfers. And frankly, you're good as a staff, as a fan, with healthy transfers. They're going to happen. You need them, frankly, and they're just going to happen. What you want to avoid is losing, your superstars, your major contributors. But there is a limit to that, right? Which I'm sure we'll get into. So, you look at Brian Rowe. He came in the 2025 class last year, 6-man freshman wide receiver class, which was much needed in Columbia. The wide receiver recruiting at the high school level is something that Shane Beamer identified that he wanted to get better. The development. What's the best way to do that? Go sign a bunch of really good ones from high school, and that's what they did. And that was, frankly, an abnormally large class to bring in 6 guys. And Rowe was one of the guys that really stood out early. I mean, you think West back to January and spring ball, we were hearing Brian Rowe's name a lot. He was one of probably half of those guys you heard more and more about. And then Jaden Sellers ended up emerging. We heard some good things about him early, too, but he really emerged, as we all saw, late in the season. So when you look at Rowe, on one hand, because I've been kind of checking the pulse of Gamecocks on our forum on Gamecock Central, and it's kind of, hey, 19 catches, 1 touchdown, that's replaceable. And that is accurate, right, that you can replace that. On the other hand, this is a young guy who showed flashes, who certainly has talent. Former 4-star guy, a guy that I think still has a lot of upside and a lot of potential. But we're in 2025, heading into 2026, and guys like Brian Rowe, if they hit the transfer portal or if they're thinking about hitting the transfer portal, there's a market there. And so, the way I always like to put it is, in this more player-driven era where players have more power, you frequently you used to hear kids talk about business decisions when they're committing to schools. Mm-hmm. That has become like reality now, and that there's a lot of business decisions being made, and some of that, some of it's still development, fit, playing time, and all that. But frankly, college football has become more of a business from players where it's a way for them to get compensated. At the Power 4 level, you're not going to find guys who are starters, major contributors, that aren't getting, quote-unquote NIL money, right? However you want to classify it. They're getting compensated for playing college football. And so just like players can make those business decisions, so can coaching staffs. Because, I know we all like to say budget's just unlimited. I mean, it is kind of monopoly money nowadays to a degree, but there is a limit for pretty much every program still. There may be a couple out there that you don't really think that way about them. But you have to make those decisions. And so every year, frankly, we're in a one-year kind of free agency in college football, you're going to have to renegotiate with those guys. And so the way I'd kind of put this one is Brian Rowe a guy you'd like to have back? Yes, I think South Carolina was planning on that. You'd love to have him back. Was there also an element of, look, everybody was frustrated by how the offense went last year? Sure. Nobody really had a particularly good year. Is this a guy you'd like to have back because he is talented and has shown flashes of that? Absolutely. But you also have to consider what the market may be. Brian Rowe has to consider that. South Carolina has to consider that. And you have to make, frankly, some strategic decisions about, can we meet the expectation there? Mm-hmm. And that's how I'd kind of put it, Wes.
Yeah, and guys, I think there were already some signs here, right? Like we saw for part of the year, Rowe was starting to emerge, and then he had the little one-game suspension, and then, he was still playing, but Jaden Sellers started to emerge, and they're playing the same spot. They're both slot wide receivers, and then, Rowe doesn't really play against Clemson hardly at all. And so I think there were some signs already that, hey, maybe this thing is headed this direction. But, we see guys get frustrated all the time, and then cooler heads prevail, and they return, and everything's fine. But I think you were starting to see maybe the potential of this already seeping through. And then, to Chris's point, and guys, this thing has shifted even since NIL became a thing. Remember, we had to speak in codes, and it was like, they weren't willing to put as many resources into this guy as this guy wanted, and all this stuff. Well, once rev share went into play, I mean, the guys are literally getting paid and being paid directly by the school. And if it's via rev share, there's a guaranteed number. Mm-hmm. So it's very much like the NFL. Like, a guy's going to want a certain amount. A school is going to value him at a certain amount. And if it's close and the player is happy, then typically it works out. If it's not close or the player's not happy, you kind of just have to have that little spot where those two lines kind of intersect each other. And if it works out, it works out. I think this is one of those cases where, you just add all this up, and it just didn't quite work out in terms of the way both sides saw things. And I think you would have loved to have Rowe back. I think he's one of the more talented guys in that 6-man receiver class, to be honest with you. But just another example of today's transfer portal, NIL, rev share world. You just really, frankly, are not going to be able to keep everybody you want to keep most of the time, just because of all these factors we're talking about here.
Yeah, and you kind of think of it in terms of, the professionalization of everything. Wes, you follow the Braves more closely than I do, but, you go into an off season for the Atlanta Braves and, hey, Max Fried's a free agent. The difference is in college football, man, everybody's a free agent, really. Like, you might have a guy in college on a multi-year deal. It doesn't matter, really, because there's no mechanism to actually enforce it, right? So for every single player on their roster, it's year to year. There's no mechanism. There's no structure. Everybody says we should put a salary cap. We should make kids do this and that. When they sign a contract, it should be binding. Sure, I will agree with you on that if that's your stance, but we don't actually have a way to do it now. And so, you think about, the Atlanta Braves, I hope they can re-sign this guy, that guy. They have to make strategic decisions in their front office. The players have to make the decisions that's best for them. And that's kind of how it is in college football now. You hope it ends up being the right decision, whether you let a guy walk, whether you re-sign a guy. Frankly, a lot of guys you re-sign, you might go, we just can't lose this guy, and now you're kind of overpaying. You see that obviously in professional sports too. So But you're right, Wes. It is so different now because it's so out in the open. There's no speaking in code. I mean, yesterday, Texas A&M re-signs Mario Craver and puts out a school graphic on their school social media. It wasn't On3 didn't make the graphic. The collective didn't make the graphic. Texas A&M's internal media team put together the graphic. Mario Craver's re-signed, highest paid receiver in A&M history. You know? And it's like,
is that
what?
including the guys they paid under the table?
Yeah, I would think so. I don't know if they have a running log or what, but, you know, the under the table money wasn't even close to what it is now.
insane.
Like, you would hear some huge numbers back in the day, and it was for, like, proven, like, senior guys who were absolutely going to the NFL. Now, that's what a freshman's asking for, who's never taken a snap. And so, you know, I mean, I have other thoughts about the A&M thing. I'm like, y'all are really asking for it doing this, you know, like putting it, like, if you want to put out a re-sign graphic, okay. But, I mean, everybody else on the roster now the kids talk. We know that. They share, you know, information, which is a problem. It's free country. It's fine, but it's a problem. But, I mean, what do all the other receivers think?
Yeah.
What if there's some transfer receiver they're going for who's like, oh, I saw y'all paid Mario Craver, whatever. Actually, I think I'm better than him.
Or
I want
my
more
numbers.
than that.
Look at my numbers, and my numbers are better than Craver's numbers. You got to pay me more.
So,
that's why you never say that out loud,
but,
guys.
you know, I don't know what the motivation was, but, you know, maybe that was part of the deal. I don't know. But it's just crazy, you know, the time we're in.
Well, I'll throw this out to you guys, and maybe there's nothing here because I'm just being curious. Rowe, after the suspension, his playing time was different because Jaden Sellers just started to pop. So Rowe's playing time went down, the snaps went down. The suspension, do you think that had anything to do with this, or is this just purely business, guys?
Well, I think Wes put it very well. Wes, I'll let you kind of speak to it / reiterate, but I mean, I think it was kind of just the whole picture of it, you know?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Just, I mean, without getting all up in his business, like, it was one of those things where you're like, yeah, all right, he's suspended, but it's not something that it's not some big deal that's going to keep some other school from recruiting him. It was like a typical freshman, just, you know, you got to make a little more mature decision type thing. Not a big deal at all. You know, however, it does just feel like his status in the rotation kind of shifted a little bit. I don't know if that means the attitude shifted a little bit at that point too. You know, not trying to speculate, but sometimes when guys get suspended, they don't think they should have been suspended. So rather than be like, I messed up, they're like, oh, why'd they do me like that? So I do think it played in, and it just opened the door for Jaden Sellers to run through it. And, you know, I do that redshirt tracker on Gamecock Central where I'm tracking all the freshmen, and, you know, Sellers played the first couple of games, Jaden did, and then he didn't play at all for a stretch. And then all of a sudden, you know, he's an example of that guy that is just working in practice and getting better behind the scenes, and we've kind of forgotten him for the time period for now. And then all of a sudden he gets an opportunity and he goes and he plays, and you're going, this guy's pretty good. And, you know, I'm not saying Rowe couldn't play an outside receiver spot, but both of those guys are kind of truly slot receivers, and you typically only have one of those on the field. So you do kind of wonder if just all those things added up. In addition, though, you cannot overlook the financial aspect. Rowe and his people saw his value financially being different than South Carolina's, frankly.
I will come back. We'll kind of take a bigger picture look at where the transfer portal is for South Carolina regarding who's going out and how that affects things moving forward. We'll do that next. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Chris West, Terry Ford in for Tyler here on the game.
All right, everyone, let's tell you about our great partners over at Integrated Media. I was talking earlier about how I've got screens just everywhere. We got these 3 huge flat screen TVs mounted. Got them out in the lobby, too. Got the Game TV streaming every day here on the game. That's from our friends Michael and Nathan over at Integrated Media. Basically, we just said, hey, we need you to trick out the studio. We have some ideas. We need some of your ideas. We need you to source the equipment, install it. They're able to do it for us. They can do the same for you, at your business, but also at your home. Wes Mitchell and I have both trusted our friends over at Integrated Media to come out to our home, do all sorts of projects from mounting TVs, putting your video games all on a switcher, fixing your internet signal. They can do all that and so much more. Great local service, showroom right in Chapin. You don't have to go to the big box stores. You don't have to scour the thousands of options online. They can source the equipment for you and professionally install it. Man cave, TVs, sound systems, security and cameras, integratedmediainc.com. Check them out.
Terry Ford hanging in for Tyler today, Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, they are here. Our final little shindig till we take a couple weeks. I know you guys are bummed. No, you have a couple weeks before you have to come back. And I don't want to put you on the spot because I know it's going to be an emotional moment for both of you right now.
Yes.
Can't talk about it right now, Terry.
I could barely sleep last night.
I can see Chris's wife, honey, you're pacing back and forth. What is wrong? Just, I got I'm not going to be able to go to the studios until like January 5th. I'm a creature of habit. What can I say? Chris will just stand outside the glass here, Wes, for 2 weeks, for an hour.
Can we get integrated media to put a Chris cam out there?
I would love to have a Chris cam.
You would
I think that would be fun.
I'll be like, what are you doing all day?
All right, fellas, so we talked about Brian Rowe, the wide receiver hitting the portal. Real quick before we move on from Rowe, I mean, that room is filled with talent. We saw, again, that freshman class that came in last year, Malik Clark, Lex Cyrus. I mean, they redshirted. We saw Jaden Sellers, Donovan Murph. We didn't even talk about the guy that should have been in high school last year. And he got some run, especially near the end of the year. Because that room is so crowded, Mazio Bennett, sometimes you forgot he was even on the team. Do you guys, and I'm not saying name names, but do you anticipate seeing anybody else from that crowded, talented room maybe look around and say, I got to go somewhere where I can get more snaps?
Yeah, I mean, and I thought, another one, Terry, out of that six-man group, Jordan Gidron, another guy that redshirted, another former four-star who actually graduated a year and a half early from high school. Jeez, Murph was a year early. Gidron, right. Gidron, yeah, makes you feel bad about yourself.
Oh, it does. Hey, that was the best 6 years of my life. Not going to lie.
I mean, look, you kind of look at that entire picture to try to answer your question. I mean, right now, no, but I think safe to say there are almost always going to be some guys that hit the portal where you go, okay, I wasn't expecting that one. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, particularly in that, healthy transfer category, you either kind of got a heads up it was coming, or you go, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's kind of tough if you bring in a class that big, 6 freshmen, all in the same class, even though they are going to – there's been a split created now because you got some guys that are redshirt freshmen, you got some guys that are sophomores going into next year. But, you're generally going to have a 6-man rotation at receiver. Some guys are going to want to play. You're bringing in a freshman, Sequel Patterson. We'll see how he integrates into the mix next year. But you're going to have a one-man freshman class. And I think, guys, even if you say everybody else on the roster, Bennett, the freshman, Patterson, Jacobs, Nick Harbor, if all those guys come back, I still think there's a decent, pretty good, I would say, chance, Wes, that they may say, hey, if there's a guy in the transfer portal that makes a lot of sense, who's a proven guy, you may add that guy to the mix, whoever it may be. You're not going out saying we need 3 receivers. It's not like that because of the numbers that they have and the talent that they have. But, they're going to add more into that mix, presumably, if they go that route. So, no guys right now that, that I could say weird tracking is like, yeah, I think there will be more attrition there. You look at like the offensive line, you can say, yeah, there'll be more attrition. Like we expect that. I don't know if you can say the same about receiver, but would it be a huge shock if you saw another one? I don't think so.
Hey, Wes, how surprised, and maybe you weren't, maybe that's why I'm asking, the disappearance of Mazio Bennett in 2025 compared to what, as a freshman, he caught 30 balls. And his production and snaps totally just started to go away as the year went along.
Yeah, I mean, I would say fairly surprised. Now, I do think you looked at that receiving core much like the year before, and you were kind of saying, man, this thing could play out any number of different ways because there's just so many guys that I think when you look at a room like that, you're like, all right, are there – how many SEC quality players do you have? Like, how many guys do you have that can go out there and get open and make a play? And – I think Carolina had a bunch of those guys, but then the thing they were trying to figure out is who do they have that could elevate from that status and go be like a game-breaking wide receiver who is going to sort of lock down a starting spot. And, much like the year before, it was just a lot of rotation, a lot of different guys trying to grab that spot. You did start to see, Harbor and Dre Jacobs emerge, and then Jaden Sellers down the stretch. I think the guys we were talking about earlier, Brian Rowe and then Jaden Sellers, also slot receivers, much like Mazio. Mazio can play inside or out, but it's really, frankly, more of a slot receiver himself. You only have that one position that's on the field when you're at a 3 wide receiver set. So I think a lot of it was Mazio just kind of getting beaten out by those younger players. And then, I think probably, I would imagine, as competitive as Mazio is, he got a little bit frustrated, I would think. And, it just kind of snowballed from there. But I would say, as the year went on, it wasn't that surprising because you just were seeing what those other guys were doing. But if you asked me preseason what that would look like, especially with all the talk about Mazio's improvement, his improvement in strength and conditioning, his improvement as a route runner, he garnered some praise going into the summer for the job he did in the spring. So, yeah, I would say it was somewhat surprising to me. But there was always going to be somebody left out when you look at that rotation. And I'll be curious to see what that looks like in the portal for them, because you really, let's say Harbor returns, which it seems to be trending that way is the way I would put it. Let's say Harbor returns, Donovan Murph, Jaden Sellers, Vandrevius Jacobs. That's already 4 guys right there that have at least proved, hey, we can go start in the SEC and not be overwhelmed. And at times have proved, hey, there's something here. There's some talent here. You'd like to see all those guys take a jump. So I don't look at the receiver position like you need a body. Like you don't really need depth. I only look at that spot like I'm only bringing somebody in if they're a true impact guy. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I think so. There's some instances where, like on the offensive line this year, especially if there's more attrition, but at a bare minimum, they were going in saying, all right, we're going to need some numbers here in terms of depth. But you also knew, okay, given the struggles of the offensive line, there were that was multifaceted. Scheme, development / coaching, and then also personnel. And so, frankly, you're going to be going out in the transfer portal looking for, hey, who's a guy who can start? Not a guy, guys. But you're also going to be looking for some guys of this guy's probably going to compete for a job, and at worst, he's a depth piece, right? At receiver, you're not looking around going, wow, we're way short on numbers. It's kind of like running back. You want to have probably 5 backs scholarship on your roster. They've got 3 right now. You're looking at that thing going, okay, at a minimum, they got to add some bodies. And at best, could you find a dude, who can come in and be your bell cow? That'd be great. At receiver, you can, I think, afford to be selective. Go find one guy. You're not scrambling saying we got to get 3-4 guys here because of the guys you've got on the roster. But at the same time, could you improve that room by bringing in a true, proven producer at the college level? That's probably more along the lines of what you're looking for.
I will jump back in Gamecock Central Takeover Hour and have a conversation about so far who we've seen leave in the portal and what does it mean to the Gamecocks moving forward. And then we have this college football playoff thing that's starting. I guess we got to yip about that here in a little bit. And I don't know, if Alabama loses, the fun could ensue in the coaching carousel again, or maybe not. We got that stuff to get to before we jump out of here. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Wes and Chris and Terry in for Tyler on the game. All right, rolling through Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, Terry hanging in for Tyler. All right, before we move on to the college football playoff stuff that's happening, starting tonight with Bama and Oklahoma. All right, as we look at where we're at with the transfer portal in South Carolina, and Michael Smith's different. That happened in season. But since the season's ended and we see who is left, anything strike you guys like, ooh, wow, that's didn't see that coming, or that makes sense, or hate to see that guy go, or maybe, again, just the way attrition works. Anything that's hit you with this first round, Wes?
Yeah, I think we knew there was going to be maybe a reset is a good way to put it. We knew there was going to be a reset on the offensive line. And, so no real, I would say, shock with Nick Sharp leaving. He's got one more year. Not a complete shock with Tro Ball leaving either, but, I think you kind of look at it. Would you have liked to maybe retain one of those guys? You're starting to talk about kind of eating away at your depth of guys on the interior on the offensive line. You already know you're probably going to have to go out and get a center in the transfer portal. You're going to have to go out and just get a number of guys at all the spots on the O-line. And frankly, we already know there are going to be other departures from the offensive line. So, you look at Tro, that one kind of similar to Brian Rowe from what we've heard in terms of like, hey, you maybe can get more money than you were making last year, but maybe your number doesn't necessarily match up with the number South Carolina sees you in terms of the structure of how they're going to handle their roster going into next year. So I think it's funny, guys. You always kind of have, with any loss, I feel like everybody falls into two categories, and it's like, it's either, oh, that guy is terrible. We don't need him anyway. Did you see how the offensive line looked last year? And then the people are in the other category. This is a huge loss for Shane Beamer. Most of your portal losses are actually gonna, if they're not the healthy transfer. I don't put Tro quite in the healthy transfer. Like I think there would have been a place for him to make an impact on this roster next year. Is he entirely replaceable as well? Yes. I think most of these guys are going to fall, at least so far, kind of in that category in the middle where, yeah, you would like to have had – I think you would love to have had Rowe and Ball back, but it just didn't work out.
How about you, Chris?
Well, and you got to be careful on that, too. Again, like these decisions – first of all, if I can confidently say this, that if every player, and this is not just at South Carolina, everywhere, if every player that you wanted to keep, you just said, yep, we'll give you that. I mean, you can't do it. It's impossible, and that's not just limited to here. That happens everywhere. I talk to people in the media that cover other programs every day. You hear stories. Georgia, this guy wanted that, so they let him walk. Right? Like that, it happens absolutely everywhere. But to your point, Wes, about the offensive line, I do think we got to keep something in mind here. And thankfully, it's not our job to construct the roster. We just kind of analyze what we see. You have to be cognizant of the fact of, okay, how much of what we saw last year was, like, what percentage of it was the coaching development scheme part? There is no doubt that they can upgrade and need to upgrade the talent and the depth up front on the offensive line. But also, are there some guys you'd like to keep if you could, if you don't have to overextend yourself, to where that picture of them as a player individually and as a collective unit looks better in a new scheme with a new coach? Like, you got to kind of sort through that. When you go to the portal, I was going to say the offensive line's an expensive position. They're all expensive nowadays. But the offensive line, certainly, if you're going to go find a proven center, a proven tackle, going to be expensive because they're guys that are already in the portal. They've played college ball. They're not a freshman, so naturally the numbers are going to go up. And then you have to actually bank on that guy being what you think he's going to be. And so when you're kind of you can't trade in college football, but when you're kind of trading out, kind of like free agency, okay, we're going to let this guy walk, and now you've got to replace him. You do have to be cognizant of that. So, yeah, I can't say, like, there hasn't been a move yet, and we always have to, keep an eye on these things because some things pop up. There hasn't been one where I've gone, I'm completely shocked by that, because you look at it and you go, makes sense, or you kind of got wind over, a week or two before it happened that, like, hey, this is something that could potentially happen. They're working through it. So none of them have been, outright shockers so far.
All right, so let me ask you about Xavier Hardy really quick. And you guys put a little blurb in about him in Gamecock Central. There was a lot of opportunity this year in the interior of the defensive line. I mean, Shane even said they got to go portal hunting and get some interior D linemen. The whole Xavier Hardy thing came in from JUCO. There was hope maybe he could contribute. It just didn't work? Is that what happened, guys? It just didn't happen and it was time for him to move on? Or kind of give me a little bit of that, because a lot was made of, wow, this guy's got a lot of upside.
Yeah, I'll step in. I would say a lot of times, guys, when not the stereotype, but when you take JUCO guys, you're talking about high upside in terms, especially year one, talking about high upside, low floor, which means there is a huge just array of possible outcomes here. And, I think there's no doubt you can go back to high school. Xavier Hardy was a kid that was immensely talented, one of the top prospects in the country at his position. South Carolina identified him very early on. He was a major target for them. Now that there was some flags here, like he, bouncing around to different high schools, and he has to go JUCO. And like you were going, yeah, if he puts it all together, this is a NFL type athlete in terms of size, speed, hands, all those different things on the interior of the defensive line. But you were also going, you don't know if he's going to reach that potential. And so, dealt with some injuries, I think, banged up a little bit in preseason, but then was back at practice and just only played in one game. And, I just think the transition there from JUCO ball to SEC ball and doing everything you have to do at this level just doesn't sound like it was as smooth as it could have been, Chris.
Yeah, and it was strange because, defensive tackle going into last year was maybe the biggest question mark on the entire team. Ended up being pretty dang solid.
Yeah.
And, I remember, Wes, we were talking about going into the season, man, what a bonus it would be. Like, how much better could this thing be if Zay Hardy comes in and shows that he's ready, right? Well, A, that didn't happen. B, that group, really because of the development of Monkel Goodwine and Nick Barrett, man. I mean, the year he had going from I'm going to play, 15, maybe 20 snaps a game to playing 50 and being really, really good against high-level competition was significant. And so, and Gabe Brownlow-Dindy, like he gave you some really good things, integrated a couple other guys. So, it ended up being different. A lot of the things we thought were going to be the strength of this team were not. It was just a weird year in that way. But it just didn't work out that way. I agree with what Wes said about it. And, a guy that, look, I still think has a lot of talent, but it just didn't work here. And so I think that's one you look at and go, okay, didn't work. And frankly, you're in a position, once again, you're losing more talent on the D-line. You're losing Barrett and Goodwine next year. The priority has to be on guys that you feel really good about, whether it's guys on the roster or, like you said, Terry, portal hunting. That's definitely going to be a priority spot in the portal.
All right, we'll jump back in here. College football playoff starts tonight. I know Jack. Now, you guys got your picks in, right?
Yep, they're in.
Jack typically doesn't chase you two. But there's another guy here
today.
He's always chasing. By the way, you know what I did?
Me too.
By the way, I think I set a record. I went from first to worst. I think I set some kind of record.
I don't even know where I am.
I went from first place to last place. Top that, fellas. We got there, huh? By the way, Veltry's so bitter that I beat him by a game last year. He is so happy and giddy that I'm finishing last this year.
He takes the picks very seriously. I will say that.
He didn't talk to me for like a month after I beat him last year. He was bitter. Very bitter man. Very bitter. All right, we'll go into the college football playoff for this weekend. Another interesting Power 4 quarterback goes in the portal as well. We'll get into all that in our final segment of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Wes and Chris and Terry in for Tyler on the game. All right, final segment, Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Wes and Chris and Terry hanging in for Tyler here on the game. All right, before we get to the college football playoff, fellas, Josh Hoover of TCU hits the portal. Not really surprised by that with his OC now gone and kind of had a rough, last month of the year. Thoughts on Hoover? There's some people, like Jack was talking about, there's some connection to Clemson there, maybe possibly with Garrett Riley.
And Tom Allen. I think he committed to Tom Allen.
To Indiana.
And then he flipped to Riley at TCU.
So thoughts on Hoover?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, a lot of people wondered, was there an angle here with South Carolina? I don't think so, especially with 16 coming back. Yep. But, he's a guy that has some talent. He's put up some big numbers. He's not as mobile of a guy. He's not a big quarterback run guy. Will Clemson maybe be an option? I think that's something they seem to be sorting through. I know you talked about Clemson's portal strategy a little bit with Jack last hour, Terry, and if they indeed run it that way, good luck.
Yeah, I know.
Because they'll be at maybe the back of the line for Hoover. He'll have some options, I'm sure. Yeah. He's a guy that's got some talent. He's put up a lot of numbers. I mean, if you look at his numbers in terms of guys that are coming back, I mean, he's up there with what he's done at the college level.
I think I read where he'll have the most total yards of any quarterback in the portal. So that's crazy. Where are you at with Hoover, Wes?
Yeah, I mean, I think in a previous world, if we weren't in the rev share NIL world of college football, I mean, if you're South Carolina, you're maybe going, hey, can we get this guy to come in and compete? And, it was much more of a stack as much talent as you can world and then let the cream rise to the top. It's much more of an NFL structure these days where, hey, here's our starting quarterback. Can we get somebody that can be a backup and can kind of fill that backup role? And you just really can't commit the resources to going out and getting what would basically be a second starter quality quarterback when you could be using that money to bolster your roster elsewhere. So, I think if Sellers had, if there was different news on Sellers, like if he was going to the NFL draft or the portal or something like that, then all of a sudden this kid would be somebody we'd be tracking very closely. But, with all signs pointing to Sellers being back, I just don't know that it would make a lot of sense at this point for South Carolina.
All right, so tonight we got Bama going to Norman to take on Oklahoma. Brett Venables has got DeBoer's number so far, 2-0 against them. First of all, I mean, look, the last thing we saw of Alabama, they looked awful getting trucked by Georgia in the SEC championship game. But, for a while there, Alabama had some of the best wins in the SEC. Where are you guys at tonight, Chris? Start with you.
I guess I got to pick what I picked for buy or sell and stay consistent because Tyler threw us a question about the home team. I am going with the Sooners.
Taking Oklahoma. How about you, Wes?
I'm taking Bama. I know they haven't looked great down the stretch. I know Oklahoma just beat them, but they're still Bama. I think they'll getting a little bit of extra time off to just get healthy, I think will be big for them. And, guys, I just think that it's going to be hard to beat Bama twice if you're Oklahoma because I just still don't trust the Oklahoma offense. Bama turned the ball over a bunch despite outgaining Oklahoma in that first game. They'll have not that I'm a big revenge guy. I don't think it matters a ton, but obviously Bama or Oklahoma is going to have Bama's complete and entire attention this time. So I think it's going to be tight. I think we got another good game in store. This game and then A&M and Miami are obviously, I think, the two everybody's looking forward to watching. And I think both those games are going to be tight. Will come down to turnovers, red zone, and just who can make the big plays in each of those games.
Yeah, I think Bama outgained Oklahoma, almost doubled Oklahoma in total yards. But you're right. Bama kept shooting themselves in the feet till they ran out of feet in that game.
Yep.
I mean, pick sixes, special teams blunders. I'm taking Bama in a close game, but would I be surprised if Oklahoma turned them over 3 or 4 times again and walked out of there with a W? I guess maybe my thing comes down to I trust Alabama to get more offense than Oklahoma. But again, if you're Bama and you're loose with the rock, you walk out there with a loss, and then the fun starts as Kalen DeBoer become the head coach of Michigan, fellas, if Alabama loses.
He says no.
But those coaches have never not told the truth before, right?
That's absolutely true. You know, and you're kind of trying to go off to like what's being reported, and a lot of people kind of in that national media space who cover, you know, like national things more closely than we do. You know, they seem to think that it's real, that he's not going to make a move. But we'll see. I mean, it's crazy because, you know, I don't think even if they lose, you know, I don't think Kalen DeBoer is losing his job at Bama.
No.
But will the heat get turned up from that fan base?
Sure.
I certainly think
They're a
so.
little
No
kooky.
playoff wins in the past couple years, even if it's the first 2 years. Yeah, they're slightly spoiled.
All right, real quick. A&M and Miami, West, where are you going?
Again, tight game. I'll take A&M at home in this one. Carson Beck, when he is pressured, is affected, I think, more than about any other quarterback out there. And, you know, A&M's got a good defensive front. I think, again, being at home, you know, kind of having the crowd behind you when you're on defense, and maybe the O-line is a half second slower in terms of reacting to the snap because you're having to do different things that aren't at play when you're at home with your quiet crowd.
Good deal.
I'll take A&M.
How about you, Chris?
Same. Aggies.
A&M, yep, we're all going A&M. Fellas, appreciate you. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. We'll talk to you in January.
Same to you.
All right,
good.
Bill Gunner
Take care.
and the halftime show coming up next.